Hey everybody, that's the sound that I love to hear when I'm out and about by the sea. Hey, okay. Um, I thought I would just come on today and do a little bit of promotional work for my next book that I'm working on at the moment. The What If, but what if it already has happened? 2021. That's word. Okay. Yeah. So the next volume basically is about the things that I am ready to say and write about now, um, about the recovery time, about the things that happened, some things that I wasn't ready to talk about, but now I am ready to write about them and talk about them. But also, I wanted to put across the other things that happened to me. Okay, some things sometimes you're not ready to talk about or you're not ready to let out to the world um, until you feel confident enough to. And some of the dark things that happened in my recovery were horrendous and hell. But it was a point that I wasn't ready to kind of like talk about as such until now. And I want to put it down in my book. But the next part of the book is also about the good things as well. It's about the achievements that I had, the things I overcome. But it's going to be based on also reflections because it's the next level. And from 2000, basically, 2001, when I moved up to Essex from Bristol and created a whole new life. But within that creation of a new life was new things that happened that I would not have believed happened. But they did. And I was a Bristolian moving up to Essex, still with the Bristolian in my head, you know. Um, but that was okay because I had to adapt, but keeping within myself and who I am. And I was quite comfortable, especially in church, where if and when I got called out on my confirmation to talk about my past. And I felt comfortable about talking about my past, about where it comes from, where I came from. I had nothing to hide. And it was what I was working on at the time. And coming out of recovery, coming out of treatment as well, and being wide open to the world, willing and ready and willing to kind of talk about everything and talk about my world and talk about what I learned, I had to adapt to living in what you might call real life. Okay, with a home, with a family, with a career, and a kind of somewhat normal life. And I had many experiences along the way that made me believe a lot more in myself, especially with the India trip, what I learned from there, and doing the charity work that I did, and get involved in care work. But with care work, it was kind of like it was like a step forward, but it was also, in some aspects, a step backwards. And what I mean by that is, I grew up. I was a child carer. I looked after my mum, and I looked after my nan, and I looked after my little brother, not knowing what the hell I was doing, making mistake after mistake, but really never being told why, how. Just doing what I was told to do. So it came to second nature. Now, along the way, after my recovery, I got involved with voluntary work as well, and I found myself doing coursework. I found myself doing long distance college courses, two of which was counselling and the other was occupational therapy. And I was in that world where I had taken so much from the community in my past. Everything that I ever wanted, I just took, and I didn't give a damn, and got what I wanted, and whatever the cost was, I didn't give a damn paying it. But now I went back into work for nothing to find who I am, where I could go, and what was inside of me, but also to kind of give back. In the fellowship, they say you keep what you've got by giving it away, which works. It really does. So I kind of thought, okay, let's do this and see what happens. And lo and behold, working with homeless people in a homeless agency, charity, I worked on a magazine, and I brought people together. And when I brought people together, I encouraged people to feel like whatever they've been through in their life, they are worth something more than what they're perceived to be. I brought people's gifts and talents out and put it down on paper. I helped myself and these other people. We'd all been in the same boat. We'd all gone through the same similar things in life, and we'd all end up at some point ended up on the street. And some were still out there. But I welcomed people in, helped them look after themselves, and I got them involved in something that was about them and about what they wanted and who they were. Building up a community of people that had vast amounts of experience in life and had something to offer. And I didn't realize what I had until I lost it, and I had to build my life back up again. And then I remembered, and then it came back to me, because I kind of like, through letting go of all that darkness and letting go of all that torment that I put myself through for so many years, letting go of that gave way to the positivity, gave way to what I've actually done in my life, what I've actually achieved, what I was a part of. You know, I worked for Anglian Windows, I worked for Yellow Pages, I've done more sales in marketing and advertising. You know, I've been out delivering hundreds of leaflets to sell products and stuff, and I was good at communication. I could be on the line, I could be on the phone for a few hours and making sales, because it was about home improvements. And hey, what did I know about home improvements, and I knew all that. I knew how to build a house and build a garden, and I knew how to landscape. I knew how to decorate. It was all in my head. It was all still there. It's just all my darkness and all my issues just buried it alive. And when I came out and with everything, it opened up a whole new world to me that I could be a part of. And that's also where the creativity of myself came out as a writer, a storyteller, a poet, communication with people. I went to India and I communicated with everybody on every level. And it was the most amazing thing I ever did. So when I came back from India, I kind of thought, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to go out to the world, talk about my life, talk about what I've been through, the hardships I've been through, but also talk about the things that I learned. And I made presentations, I spoke to councils and charities and stuff. And unfortunately, it hit the time when the government were cutting funding, and our project that was actually working to enable people to get their lives back together again and get a home and get a career and get a happiness again, it got shelved. But along the way, I still saved everything that I was involved with, and I still saved everything that I wrote. And it's part of what I want to publish in the next volume. This is the next step. This is the next level. This is the level where you get to see or hear how all your negatives and all your darkness and all your angers and all your depression and all your anxieties and paranoias and what can cover up and push down all the positivities. But when you get somebody come along and identify with you about what you're going through from inside, up here as well, in your mind, deep in your mind, it awakens it, because you begin to realize how much you're worth and what you can do in this world and what you've been through. Doesn't matter what walk of life you've been in. That's what the book was about in the beginning, about discovering of yourself. And that's why the book changed along the way, and it grew. It grew in meaning. It grew in the vast genre of people it could touch and help. And the next book, is as it says. What if it already has? What if it already was there in the beginning? It's just it was buried. It was held back. It was restrained. It was covered up. You were controlled by what you were told to do, or what you were made to believe that you were to do or be in your life. The thing about recovery was when somebody asked me what I wanted. What did I want? How did I feel? What could somebody do for me? Nobody had ever asked me that before. It was all I want, and do this and do that, and doesn't matter. But when somebody asked me what I wanted, and I said what I wanted, and that when that was then nurtured and encouraged, it was inspired by what I could see others were doing. And the whole world opened up. My head opened up to all the possibilities. The weird thing was, I hated working in offices and working at a desk and whatever, but doing the charity work I did, I looked forward to going to work up early every morning, walking down to the local office, down to the local day centre, going up to the office, opening the offices, getting the people in, having breakfast, sitting down, chatting about the day, bringing out ideas, and it was amazing. It was so brilliant, and we were putting it all down and designing and creating and writing, and people walked out of the office at the end of the day feeling like they were worth something. They weren't just another cog in the machine. They weren't just another statistic. You know? And I felt like I had achieved something really special. And it's that feeling, it's that experience that I want to put across what we did, what I achieved, how I brought people together, and how we grew. Because we've got it all in us, everybody. It's just taking somebody to turn around to you one day and say, hey, what do you want? What have you been through? And somebody saying what you naturally feel is normal. It's just sometimes everything in your head, when it's been out of sync for so many years, is magnified. And that's what drove me crazy in the first place, because everything was coming back at me 100 miles an hour and 10 times 100, and I couldn't control it. And I got buried alive in it, and it wrecked me. But coming back into real life and being looked after and being helped to understand the hows and the whys and the wherefores, because that's what helped me heal as well. Being able to be open and honest and say how I feel, not bury it, because when you bury stuff that hurts, it's like you build a pressure pot inside your body, and the more you bury, the more the pressure builds up and up and up, and sometimes it comes out in sideways anger. But I learned to communicate. I learned to be open and honest and know it was all okay, in the right format, in the right way. And I learned to face my fears, no matter how scary they were, but know at the end of the day, I had people there to support me. And I had to learn what I was going through. I had to learn about who I was. The worst thing that I went through in my recovery, I had to learn about what I was going through. And I learned about it in the most strangest but powerful ways. From the most amazing people in this world, the strongest backbone of this world. And it taught me so much. I don't want to do any kind of spoiler alerts or whatever, but I don't want to give too much away. That's going to be for when you read the book, when it's finished. But let me just say, I'll say one thing. There are some really, really strong women in this world that help me grow stronger as a man. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna kind of like say goodbye now. And maybe I can come up with another video pretty soon. And oh, there is just one other thing. I was ill a couple of weeks ago. The week after I had my week off and everything. And I was I had an abscess in my mouth come out here. And I was in a lot of pain. And I went through a lot of emotional torment. And I posted something that worried everybody and concerned everybody with a stupid picture as well. And I want to apologise to the people that didn't understand what it was about, and because I know it was scary. But for those that have known me for a lot of years know that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I say how I feel, because as I was learnt as I was taught and I learned in all my therapies and all my counselling and in NA and everything, I have to express how I feel, to let it out, to stop the pressure pot of building up inside my head. Some people call it your addict, you're feeding your addict by burying it alive, and your addict makes more of it up than you. But when you let it out, you take away its power, and you take back your power. And that's what I was doing that time. I went through 24 hours of excruciating pain. I stopped my painkiller. I started on my painkillers that made me ill, going against my doctor's advice, and I got to a point where my mind went to very dark places, and I thought really stupid things, but I had to let it out to take away its power and pray that the people that know me know I wouldn't do anything really stupid, like go on a relapse or anything like that, or hurt myself. I was in enough pain as it was. But it was just a stage that I went through. It was just another part of recovery. It was another part of me facing my fears and doing what I could to keep myself sane, keep myself alive, and get through this painful time. I came off the painkillers, which made me ill, and then I went on to the antibiotics, double doses, and the weird thing was, the next day, a complete stranger, a dentist, a private dentist, literally heard my pain and me asking for help, and sent me out 2 prescriptions to the chemist down the road there. And that helped me. It made me very ill because they were strong, but it helped me a lot. But somebody heard me asking for help and gave it to me, and then I knew inside me what I had done that night, how I felt, how I acted, how I behaved, and how I got through this was okay. And I survived it, and I did the right things. I did the right things to keep me safe and let it out. And I didn't use. And when you all know, when you're in an excruciating pain, you will do anything to stop it. And I did. I let it out of me. I took away its power, and I took back the power in me. That's how I stayed 20 years clean. That's how I stayed responsible. That's how I stay confident that what I've got to say means something to so many. And there is so much more to come. It's just I need to get past this whole recovery bit. But it's going to be in a bit of a weird way, but it will all make sense in the end. Just got to give a few tidbits out there, a few books, a couple of films, TV series, and it's building. 6 books now. Anyway, that was just, I just thought I'd just say that at the end there. And I'm so sorry if I worried anybody, but you all know me. I'm a fighter, I'm a survivor, and I would never do anything that stupid. Trust me, I would never. I've had this 20 years, I've dealt with this 20 years, and I'm not going to undo all the work that I've done. But I never forget how vulnerable I can be, and I never forget my 12-step program, and I never forget that I've got it in me to do this. Anyway, much more will come out in the book, but there you go. So I'm gonna go. And thank you very much for listening. I hope this wasn't too much of a mind blower for you, but it's something I have to say because I haven't posted for a long while and I need to get back into it. And I'll have a lot more promoting to do. So I would like to say thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being the most amazing people that I know. And stay safe because we're still not safe yet. And stay well. And keep that love with your family strong. Okay? Right. Thank you and goodbye. Signing off now.